Welcome to Online Art Time with Mr. Denny. In this video, we're going to be drawing 5-point perspective. It's going to be drawing a city. It's going to get really warped. I mean, wow. I mean, every direction you look, it's going to be bent. It's quite good. You know how warped this is going to get? Look behind me. Look at that. You're going to see it's really, really bent. I mean, wow. But you can do this. Just follow my instructions. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. Good luck with this. Come on, let's get started. The materials you'll need for this art lesson are simple. A piece of paper, a pencil, a ruler, probably a rubber, a pencil sharpener, a pen, and perhaps, optionally, some colored pencils. I've got a couple different colors here. I'm using brown for my horizon line. I'm using blue for vanishing point 1. I'm using purple for vanishing point 2. I'm using red for vanishing point 3 and 4. And I'm using green for vanishing point 5. I might even use a yellow to mark the middle of the roads. To draw the illusion of space using 5-point perspective, we need to start by creating a grid. To make a grid, we need to take our paper and we need to fold it in half. So we're going to fold it in half this direction. Nice fold there. Then I unfold it. Then I'm going to fold it in half this direction. This will give me right in the center across. And then I unfold it. Now you can see right down the middle there, there's a space right down the middle. It goes there and there. That's where I'm going to make my horizon lines. So first I'm going to put my ruler on the center line right here. I'm going to mark it. I'm going to mark it. This is making a grid, and this is how you do it with horizon lines. I'm going to then make my horizon line. I'm using brown for this, but you can use any color or a pencil. I'm going to mark along the top here, and along the bottom, right where that is there. I'm going to make my guideline down that direction. Now comes the tricky part. We're going to measure out centimeters. So I'm going to put my ruler where that number 10 line is, right on the center line. Where that long 10 centimeters is, right on the center line, I'm going to put that. That's 10 centimeters right there. That's that line right there. I'm going to line that up with the middle line. Here we go. It's lined up nice and neat. And now I'm going to start backwards. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now go to the other side. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. And I'm going to mark the middle mark, just like that, with a little cross right there. Now I'm going to make the same centimeters measured out along the middle line. So there we go. Go at the 10, right at that 10 mark right there. I'm going to go up 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Whew, it just makes it on the page, doesn't it? Huh. You'd think I've done it before or something, huh? Now we're going to make our vanishing points. To make our vanishing points, we just go all the way out to this mark right there. I'm going to make that vanishing point 1. I'm going to use purple on this side. This is going to be vanishing point 2. going to put vanishing point 3 at the bottom here. I'm going to put vanishing point 4 at the top here. And finally, vanishing point 5. I'm going to use green for vanishing point 5, right smack dab in the middle. There's our 5th vanishing point. Now comes the hard part. We're going to need to make a grid. We're going to start by making a grid between 1 and 2. I'm going to use blue and purple for this, but you can do with just a normal pencil, it'll be fine. I'm going to make my blue line very soft, going from there all the way across to number 1. And I'm going to switch and make that purple on this side. Looks like it goes between number 1 and number 2. Now, when it gets out to number 1 between 1 and 4, it has to be almost round. So I'm just going to do this very soft because it's going to be almost a round circle. You could use a compass to draw this line. A compass is quite helpful, but I'm just going to do it freehand. And again, I'm going to go between that and number 1. I'm going to kind of come down here. I'm trying to keep these lines quite even, and they all come down to there. Oop, that's a little bit messy there. Mess it up. And I'm going to try that on this side now. There we go. And I'm going to try it on this side. And there. Great way to draw a rainbow, by the way. Just because it's fun. If you make a mistake like that, just take a little moment and rub it out a bit gently. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, I forgot this one, didn't I? Like that. Nice and careful. If you make some mistakes, it really is okay. This is tough. Okay, did the top. Now I have to do that to the bottom. I'm trying my best. It's not easy. Somewhere in there. I'm going to rub it out. It's a bit too dark. I'm going to rub it out just so I can barely see it. Try it again. And I'm going to continue that on this side. Okay, now I'm going to continue that grid here. This takes quite a while. It's quite tricky. You could probably download one from the internet. It would probably be faster and easier. But this is how you actually draw it. There we go. How's that? Okay. Now we need to make the same kind of warped grid between number 3 and number 4. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to make the grid go this direction and that direction. For this one, I'm just using one color. I'm just using my red. As it gets closer to the edge, you'll see it becomes rounder until it is a circle. And the final one is the same as that one. There you go. Now all I have to do is the other side. Oops, I think that one went about too far. I'm going to rub that out a wee bit. I did it again. That's better. There we go, there's our grid. Now we're going to draw a cuboid in 5-point perspective. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to begin by picking one of the edges over here. I think I'm going to pick right there. I'm going to follow one of these red lines between number 3 and number 4, one of these guidelines. So I'm going to follow one of those guidelines up a bit. Not too far. I kept it below the horizon line. And I kept it on that side of that horizon line. Okay, now I'm going to darken that edge just to make it neat. So it's between there and there. And notice it starts at one of these bent guidelines between number 1 and 2. And it ends at one of those bent guidelines between 1 and 2. Now to make the edge of that cuboid, or the front of that cuboid, I'm going to just follow one of those lines between number 1 and 2. And then I'm going to darken that line. Then I'm going to follow, see that guideline right there? Where this one and this one meet, I'm going to make a mark. So here it comes following down between 3 and 4. And I'm going to go from number 1 to 2. Notice it's curved and it's curved. And I'm going to darken that side. Okay, now I'm going to make my guidelines to number 5. So here we go. We pick this corner. I'm going to draw a guideline. I'm using green for this, but you can use your normal pencil. Just do it soft. There's my guideline there. Make a guideline right at this corner. And I'm going to make a guideline from this corner. Notice these guidelines go to vanishing point 5. Now I'm going to draw the top of this building. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow along the side here. I'm going to follow along the side here, along that guideline until it hits this intersection where those two meet. And I'm going to follow that guideline along here. And I'm going to follow that guideline there. And you can see the top of my cuboid. You can see that top there. I'm going to darken it just so it's really obvious. Now I use my pencil. I'm going to go between number 3 and 4 again. I'm going to darken that edge. I'm going to darken that guideline right there. And you can see the cuboid coming out. There it is. Look at that cuboid in 5-point perspective. Wowza. Now I'm going to add some shadows to that. So I'm going to imagine my light source is over here at this moment, but it's actually going to be on that sphere. So I'm going to imagine my light source is just up here somewhere, and it's bending around the light over to that side. So the light's going to bend around over here. So this top is going to be white, so I'm just going to add a bit of side of my pencil to the top of that. I'm going to smudge it a wee bit. Very soft. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow to the side of this cuboid. Notice I'm going between 3 and 4. I'm making my lines kind of go between 3 and 4. I'm going to smudge that a wee bit. I'm going to make my shadow, since the light's over here and it's coming this direction, I'm going to make my shadow in between these guidelines here, going towards number 3, towards number 1. Here they come back like that, and the top of the shadow would actually point to number 5. So there's my top of my shadow, and there's the shadow. That's the cast shadow there. So I've used tone 5, tone maybe 4, maybe 3, and then kind of maybe 3 again, but a little bit darker. There you go. Let's smudge that a bit to make it look really atmospheric. Look at that. Cuboid in 5-point perspective with a cast shadow. I'm going to now try one in space, floating up in the sky here. So again, I'm just going to pick a guideline between number 3 and number 4 that curves around this way. I'm going to draw my leading edge right on there. I'm going to darken that edge. I'm going to draw along between number 1 and 2. So I'm going to follow along there. And I think I want to go, yeah, I like that. I'm going to darken that one up. I'm going to follow the guidelines between 3 and 4. I'm going to follow that one up all the way until it meets this guideline between 1 and 2. And when those two meet, that's where I want to stop. I'm going to darken that up. I'm going to make my guidelines to number 5. So I'm using my green for this, but you can use any color you want, or you can use just your normal pencil. This is just to really help understand that that's going back to vanishing point 5. Oh yeah, you can see it coming. I'm going to make the bottom of that cuboid. So again, I'm going to follow that line along there until it hits one of these guidelines along between 1 and 2. I'm going to stop it there. And then I'm going to darken that bottom there. There you go. I'm going to make the side right here, going up from that point. I'm just going to follow that guideline between 3 and 4. And I'm going to darken that one between number 5, towards number 5. And you can see it. I'm going to darken that now. It's actually quite easy, isn't it? Now, the light's over here, so it's shining around this direction, and you can see this side has a little bit of shadow on it. I've got quite a dark shadow underneath, because that's, you know, where the shadow, the light isn't shining on that. So I'm going to make that quite dark down there. I'm using about a number 1 or 2 tone for this. And again, my shadow cast would be way over there, and I can't see it because it's not on the ground. It's too far away. There's a cuboid floating in space with 5-point perspective. I'm going to draw another cuboid over here on this side. To do that, I'm going to follow along this guideline between number 1 and 2. I'm just going to come along like this over here till I like a spot. I'm going to pick a spot right there. It's on the guideline between number 1 and 2. And when I'm going to make the leading edge, so that's between number 3 and 4, I'm going to go up. Make that one just a little bit taller this time. And I'm going to make between number 1 and 2 the bottom of the building, the bottom of the cuboid. And I'm going to make the side between number 3 and 4. Notice it curves. Make the top between number 1 and 2. And darken that. I'm going to move my guidelines to number 5. Start up here, I guess. Line there. Guidelines. I'm going to follow that guideline back until it hits the guideline between 3 and 4. There it is. I'm going to follow that guideline up between 3 and 4. I'm going to mark that edge right there too. You can see the side of this coming up, can't you? Look at that. I'm going to follow that guideline between number 1 and 2. And I'm going to mark that one right there. Oh, look at that. You can see the top. Again, I'm going to add my shadow. So the light's shining over here on this. So this side of the bill, this side of the cuboid, I'm just going to give a little bit of shadow to. Top I'm going to make white, so I'm going to just go around it. And this side over here, I'll make dark. And my cast shadow. And look, it hit that building a bit, and when it goes up the wall just a little bit, I'm going to pretend. And again, that lines up with number 5, the top of that. And look, you can see the top of that shadow. You can see a bit of the shadow on the side of that building there, can't you? There we go. I'm now going to draw a cuboid that goes from below the horizon line to above the horizon line. So here we go. I'm going to pick a spot on there, right there where those two guidelines meet. I'm going to follow the leading edge of the guideline, following it up to above the horizon line. So I followed that curve between 3 and 4. I'm going to darken that edge so we can just really see it. I'm going to make the front of the cuboid by going between number 1 and 2. Follow that guideline. Darken that. I'm going to follow that guideline between number 3 and 4 to make that edge. I'm going to follow that one down, and where those two meet, that's where I'm going to stop. I'm going to darken that. I'm not going to make the guidelines from the top of the cuboid to perspective point 5. Line it up nice and accurately. And we'll go from the bottom to number 5. Now I'm going to use my pencil. I'm going to follow that along till it hits one of the guidelines I like. I think I'm going to go to that guideline there. I'm going to follow that down along the between 3 and 4 to make the back of that building. I'm going to darken that up. There's the top of the building and the back of the building. Cuboid. I'm going to make the bottom. There you go. Now I need to add my shadow. we go. The smudge. And my shadow in between. There we go. To add windows to my cuboid, I'm just going to make some marks between number 3 and number 4. So I'm going to make some guidelines that go right down there. Notice they curve. Look, they curve. I'm making 4 guidelines. And I'm going to make the sides of the building windows. Notice they curve back to number 3. They follow that curve, don't they? Always curve back to number 3. And there's my guidelines between number 3 and 4. They curve. Now I'm going to make the guidelines that go between number 1 and 2. They also curve. That's the top of the windows and the bottom of the windows. Top of the windows and the bottom of the windows. Top of the windows and bottom of the windows. On this side, I'm going to use the green because it's going back to vanishing point 5. So from where that mark is, I'm going to make that back to 5. And where that one comes along, where that meets the edge, I'm going to make that there. Where that one meets the edge, there. Where that one meets the edge, where that one meets the edge. Notice I'm being quite accurate. There we go. Now, I need to darken in. You can use your pencil for this, or you can use your pen. I'm going to just follow that guideline there, and I'm going to stay between those guidelines. You can see the windows. When it goes between number 1 and 2, I stay on the curve. And between number 3 and 4, I stay on the curve. So the sides are always warped. They're always curved. They're always curved. And I'm going to do these windows here, nice and careful. Try to stay on the guidelines that I made. And there's the windows. Now I'm going to darken them in. I'm using a number 1 tone, tone 1. Again, if you made these yellow, it'd make it look like the lights were on inside at night, perhaps. And there's how to add windows. That was easy. Adding roads is fairly easy as well. All you have to do is make some guidelines between number 5 and out the way. So I'm going to pretend that there's going to be a pavement or a sidewalk right there. I'm going to put one right there as well, so the road's going to be between those 2 lines. I'm going to line those points up with number 5 and go all the way to the edge of the sphere. Oops, a little bit warped there. But I'm going to go on this one all the way to the edge of the sphere. Number 5 all the way up. Look at that. Right to the edge. Now I'm going to make my guidelines between number 3 and between number 1 and 2. So I'm going to pretend that there's going to be a pavement out here. So I'm going to just follow that guideline all the way back to number 1. And I'm going to make that guideline come across here and go back to number 2. See how I'm following the curves. And do the other side of that street here. So here it comes. On that side, I'm going to follow it all the way back to number 1. Follow it all the way back to number 2. I'm going to darken those lines now. And you can see there's the corner, and it comes all the way back to number 2. And I'm going to do this side of the street. Part. Come back this way. Notice they always curve. So then I do this mark right there. To make the markings down the middle of the road, we simply start at number 5 and we come back out this direction. I'm going to make kind of some markings right there, I think, down the middle. So I'm going to mark the middle between those 2 points. Put my ruler on number 5. Make the markings down the middle. Get smaller and smaller and softer, and as they come away, they get darker. There we go. To make the markings between 1 and 2, I just pick the middle and I just follow that curve. I follow the curve on the other side. And there's how to make markings. Now I want you to just add loads and loads and loads of buildings. Adding cars on the roads is quite easy. If you want, you can just draw a rectangle. So I draw the leading edge of the rectangle, but I'm going to make the sides of the car pointing towards number 5. I'm not even going to draw a car. I'm just going to represent a car with some rectangles on the ground. So there's going to be a car. I'm just going to shade it in a bit, and to make it a bit easier to see that that's a car, I'm just going to make it like that and put a windscreen on it. Maybe back like that, and that's it. Put some headlights on it, something like that. There you go. I'm going to make some more cars now. Just along those same lines, somewhere in there, I'm going to make a car that's quite close to that one. And put a windscreen on it or not. Make another car farther away, maybe. Those, as they get towards the middle, towards number 5, they get really tiny. There's some cars they're just dots. They're not even, you can't even see them. I'm going to shade in those a bit. Put some on this side of the street. Again, points to number 5. It's going to be a bus. Color them in, of course. To make some cars down here, I just draw the front and I follow these curves between 1 and 2. It's a bus. It's a car. Some cars on this side. Pretty simple. There's some cars over here, I think. Now add as many buildings as you can. The more you add, the better it will look. Here's an example of one I've made earlier. Just keep adding buildings. It can become amazing. Good luck. Have fun. I did.